Hi class, this is Mrs. Davis. I'm going to be going over your syllabus in this video. You can find your copy of the syllabus under Blackboard under the tab that says Syllabus. So go ahead and open that up and you can print it off or have it on another screen so you can refer to it while we go through it in this video. So go ahead and get that up right now.
So here we have your syllabus. This is for summer 2017 online. And one section says I1, one section says I2. It doesn't really matter which section you're in. This is the exact same syllabus. Everything's exactly the same for both classes. So this is your guide to the class. A lot of the frequently asked questions I have in the beginning of the semester and all the way through the semester are often answered if you read the syllabus. So not the most exciting material, but we're going to try and go through it quick and kind of gloss over the stuff you can read on your own. And I wanted to point out the things I get the most questions about, especially things like the attendance policy and late assignment policy. So first of all, this is General Chemistry 1, Chem 151. It is 4 credit hours. It includes the lab. Now I know some classes at different colleges have the lab as a separate credit hour. 3 credit hours is the lecture, 1 credit hour is the lab. Here at JCC, it is a combined class. So lab and lecture is one class and you get credit for both, so you get 4 credit hours. The number of contact hours, on the other hand, is 6 hours. That means if you were taking this as a fully seated class, you would be spending 6 hours a day physically in the, or sorry, 6 hours a week physically in the classroom. So 3 hours worth of lecture and 3 hours worth of lab. There are no current prerequisites or co-requisites for this class, and the last day to drop without a grade penalty, meaning you as the student choose to drop yourself from the class and you will not incur any sort of grade penalty, is June 29th. Alright, so my general information, my name is Rachel Davis. Again, you can call me Mrs. Davis. My office is in the health building on main campus, but on the summer I am by appointment only since I am not generally on main campus during the summer hours. I'm usually at home with my kids. My best way to contact me is by email. I do have my office phone number there listed, but then again, I'm not in the office during the summer, so I will not be checking that voicemail very often. So again, best way to contact me is via the email address. If I try and answer every email within 24 hours, if it's been more than 24 hours other than over a weekend or a holiday and you have not gotten a response, please send me another email reminder, because that probably means that something went wrong, the email got lost or something. So general course description, this is straight out of the articulation agreement of what they say a General Chemistry 1 class should be. The format, so this is a 100% online course. So that means that all of your work is going to be submitted directly through Blackboard and McGraw-Hill Connect, which is connected to Blackboard. And you are required to register for the correct section in Connect. Assignments need to be completed by the deadline, and assignment completion is used to monitor attendance. We'll look at the attendance policy when we get to that part. This is a fast track class, so a normal semester is 16 weeks. Our summer semesters, on the other hand, are 10 weeks, so almost twice as fast. So those 6 contact hours per week is for a 16-week semester. So for a 10-week semester, that's almost 10 contact hours a week. So that's how many hours you would be spending physically in the classroom every week if this was seated. For an online section, expect to spend 8 to 10 hours a week doing lecture materials such as reading your textbook, working practice problems, and that kind of stuff, and then an additional 6 to 8 hours completing assignments. So this is the homework. This is the stuff that even in a fully seated section you would be doing outside of class in addition to the classwork. Plus, expect to spend 4 to 5 hours a week on the laboratory experiments, since we have to cover all of the labs that would be covered in a typical 16-week semester. In 10 weeks, many weeks you will have 2 laboratory assignments to do. So that's just kind of upfront expectations of how much time you should expect to put into this class. Past experience has shown that students who do not put this much time into the class do not typically see success or see the grades that they expect. Student learning outcomes. We will cover the first 10 chapters of McGraw-Hill's Chemistry by Julia Burge textbook. If you go on to Chem 152 at Johnson Community College, we will be using the same textbook and covering the next 10 chapters, chapters 11 through 20. In Chem 152. So that means if you go on to take Chem 152, you will not need to purchase a new textbook as long as you do it within the next year. You will also not need to purchase a new access code, since the access code that came bundled with our textbook from our bookstore is good for a full 12 months. So I've broken down chapter by chapter what the student learning outcomes are for each chapter. So use this kind of as a rudimentary study guide for before each chapter, read through, okay, here's what I'm going to be learning from each chapter, and then at the end of the chapter, especially when you're reviewing for a test, go back through these student learning outcomes and make sure that you understand each bullet point. And so that's the 10 chapters. So, required material. First of all, you need the textbook, Burge Chemistry, 4th edition by McGraw-Hill, Scientific Calculator, Access to Connect. Now this is for the lecture. For the lab, of course, we also need the lab kit that is available through our bookstore. Let's see here. You are allowed to go in with another student and purchase the lab kit together. The kit has enough materials for each lab to be done only once, however. So if you do decide to work with a lab partner, make sure that you can meet with that person at least once a week so that you guys can work on the experiments together, since there's not enough materials for the kit to be passed back and forth and the experiments to be done by both. If you choose to do that, you must let me know so that I know why when the publisher sends me the list of the students who have ordered the textbook, or sorry, ordered the kit, why your name is not on the list because you're partnered with somebody, and then you will need photographic or videographic proof that both of you conducted the experiment. If you choose to work with a lab partner, each lab partner must submit individual work. That means your lab assignments should not be identical. Your everything that you've written, your explanations, your answers to questions should not be the exact same as your lab partners. And certainly when we do the lab reports, they should not be the same. Alright, so that aside, course overview. So this is a general format for weekly, what you can expect from each week. So this is week 1, the introduction, and you can go ahead and start in chapter 1. Week 2 will cover chapters 1 and 2. Week 3, chapter 3, and I've listed as well the dates for each of the tests. So we will have 4 tests and a cumulative final exam. So the first test will be the first 3 chapters, second test will be the next 2 chapters, and so on. The final exam is cumulative, containing all 10 chapters. Notice that test 4 only goes through chapter 9. We will cover chapter 10, however, it will only appear in the final exam. There will not be a separate test for it. And the final exam is due by the last day of class, July 21st. So, evaluations. This is a college level class, so your grade is determined by your output, not necessarily your input. In the end of the day, your grade is determined by what did you score on the assignments. Did you get the answers right? Did you get the answers wrong? So the way that your grade is calculated is by a weighted average, where your tests are weighted at 40%. So we have 4 tests. That means they're each worth 10% of your grade individually. I do not drop the lowest test grade. 20% is your final exam. Your final exam is going to be cumulative again of all 10 chapters. 15% will be quizzes, homeworks, and participation, things like Learn Smart, additional assignments, things like quizzes, or if I post a lecture video with questions associated with it, answering those questions. That's where that factors into your grade. A quarter of your grade is your lab assignments. So this is completing the lab assignments, submitting the work associated with them, writing the lab reports, and what your grades are on those lab reports. We are in a 10-point grading scale, so a 90 and above is an A, an 80 to an 89 is a B, and such. I only round a very, very small amount at the very end of the semester. So if you have like an 89.9, I would consider rounding that, as long as you have good attendance and good participation. But an 88 is definitely a B. There is no plus or minus, so an 80 or an 89 both count as a B. I do not submit your final number grade, only your final letter grade. That's the only thing that shows up in your transcript. I generally try and return any graded assignment within a week. Homework is submitted online through Connect, and that is automatically graded and scored, so you can see your feedback immediately. If you need expanded feedback, such as you're having trouble figuring out why a question is being marked wrong on Connect, please just send me an email and show me your work, take a screenshot or a snapshot of your work, and I would be happy to look over that and let you know where the mistake is. Now, as far as turning work in late, for whatever reason there may be, you get one free pass per semester. So only one due date extension per semester, regardless of the reason. So whether it's because you simply forgot, overslept, or your computer was glitching, or you had no power because of a lightning storm, or you were out of town, or you got sick, or whatever the reason is, you get one chance per semester to request a due date extension. This can be applied to a homework, a test, or a lab. But once you use it, that's it. So keep in mind, if you go ahead and use it at the beginning of the summer on a homework assignment, and then later on you miss a test, then you've already used up your due date extension. You cannot request a second extension. So the process for this is you must request that due date extension within 24 hours of the missed assignment and make it up within 48 hours, unless there are some sort of documentable circumstances, such as in a hospital, unable to access a computer, that prevent it. But you have to document it and show me why you were unable to request it sooner. How will you see your feedback? The Learn Smart and Connect feedback will be automatically, and you'll be able to immediately see those. The laboratory assignments, those are manually graded by me. So you will not see a grade until I manually go in there and grade it. Once you see a grade pop up, you will be able to click on that grade to see additional feedback. If you have 100% score, generally there won't be any feedback because there's nothing wrong. But if you have anything less than a full score on any laboratory assignment, when you click on that grade in your grade book on Blackboard, I will give you additional information about where you missed the points and why. Therefore, you can look at that and learn from it and do better on the next assignment. If you have any questions at any point in time about any of your grades, just send me an email. Alright, so critical success strategies. Now this is going into the prerequisites. JCC currently has no prerequisite for this class. However, in the past, we did have a prerequisite of a math class. And this math class was the equivalent of high school, middle school level algebra. So quantitative sciences like physics and chemistry differ from the qualitative sciences like biology and geology, and that there is a lot of math involved. If you've never taken a quantitative science before, this can be a new experience, which is a little different, because not only do you have to learn the concepts, but you also have to know the math and be confident enough in the math to apply that math. Now, the level of math that we're going to do is never going to be higher than, again, high school level algebra. You're not going to have to know trigonometry, and you're certainly not going to have to know calculus in order to do the math in this course. However, you do have to have those skills and be confident enough in them that you can apply them to the chemistry concepts. That means you can solve a simple formula for X. You can multiply by fractions. You can know how to move a fraction from one side of an equation to the other by multiplying by the reciprocal. You can see a fraction and not get scared and hide. That would be helpful because we deal a lot with fractions in this class. So being able to move in and out of percentage points, that sort of thing. Most of that is actually arithmetic. There's actually only a little bit of algebra in there, but a lot of it's arithmetic, and just being confident about math is very helpful. So if you're having trouble with the math, please let me know, and we can try and get you the help. That way the math does not hold you back in this class. So it is recommended that students form study groups. Studies have shown that students who work in study groups tend to have higher success than those who go it alone. Of course, in an online class, this can be challenging, especially if you're not local. So I do have that discussion board open for you to network, and even if you can't find students who are near enough to you to meet in person, you can maybe meet online, email back and forth some ideas, maybe Skype, and that sort of thing. If you are local, or if you find other students through through the discussion board who are near you, I highly recommend meeting up in person at least a few times a semester, at least before the tests and such, to kind of just use as sounding boards and help each other learn the material. All right, attendance policy. Here's a big one. Because at Johnson Community College, attendance is required to stay in the class. If you do not attend a minimum percentage of the class, you will be dropped from the class, and you will be dropped with a grade of a WF, which not only hurts your GPA, but this can also affect your ability to get financial aid in the future. So, first of all, you must enter the class prior to the census date, which for this class is May 23rd. To enter an online class, you need to complete the enrollment verification quiz. Most students do this within the first 24 hours of the course, but as long as it's done by May 23rd, you're fine. That enrollment verification quiz does not count for a grade. It just counts for attendance. It only takes a few minutes and is just go ahead and get it done with as soon as possible. If you're taking more than one class at JCC, you must complete a quiz for each of your courses. So for this class, you cannot miss more than 12.5% or 12 hours worth of assignments in the class. You can be dropped at any point in the semester, including before that last date that you can drop yourself without a grade penalty. If you go over the number of allowed absences, then you will still get dropped, even if it's before that date. There is no such thing as excused absences or unexcused, so not attending or completing your assignments for what would traditionally be considered an excuse, such as sickness, jury duty, or something like that. Most of this doesn't apply to an online class, since obviously you can get your work done whenever when you're online, so having something like jury duty doesn't exclude you. Being ill generally doesn't excuse you because you're at home anyways. Let's see here. If you do get a WF, then you do have the right to appeal it. But you generally have to have good reason for why you missed those hours. Alright, so attendance is monitored by completion of assignments. We're looking at this middle part here. Homework or a Learn Smart assignment counts as 1.5 hours, and a lab assignment or test counts as 3 hours. So if you miss one homework assignment, then it's an hour and a half worth of absence. If you miss a lab assignment, it's 3 hours worth of absence. If you miss a test, it's another 3 hours. And these add up. If you exceed 12 hours total, you will be dropped. If you're having any trouble with the technology, please contact the Jaguar Office of Learning Technologies, JOLT, to assist you, and their phone number is right there, along with their email address. Most of this stuff doesn't apply since we're online. Alright, so majority of the rest of the attendance policy can be found on Blackboard under the Syllabus tab. Alright, so here we are under the Syllabus tab, and there is your syllabus, and here are all of the general policies: academic integrity, things like don't cheat, what will happen if you do cheat, confidentiality, disability services, if you require a accommodation due to a disability, what to do. Most of this stuff only applies to seated classes. As far as minors on campus, cell phones, that sort of thing. Inclement weather, again, really only applies to online class or seated classes. And that is the syllabus information. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to send me an email.